Hi everyone, we're back with another interview, and this time we'll be speaking to Rajan Naidoo, who is the Managing Director at EduPower. EduPower is an accredited skills development academy offering training courses and learnerships. Today we'll be speaking about learnerships, employment, and the role training providers like EduPower play in skills development by providing learnerships. It's really an honor for us to sit down with you and just to gain some insight for someone who's with an organization who's a leader in the training and skills development industry.
Thank you so much for having me. Yeah.
So you're the managing director at EduPower, right? And I'm sure you guys have done some amazing work, especially in a country like South Africa that has such a major skill shortage. So tell us a bit about EduPower and what you guys have to offer.
Yeah, so EduPower is a learnership skills development provider. We are accredited with the service CETA and other CETAs. So we commenced our life in around 2016 as a formal training provider. And so we've been, and one of the things that we sort of tried to differentiate ourselves with right from day one was we, particularly for unemployed learners and learners with disability. Majority of our learners, about 85% of them are people with disabilities. So that was the one thing. The second thing is we decided to do our own recruitment once we got a sponsorship from a corporate partner. We do the training at our premises, we do the workplace experience at our premises. And since 2021, just after the COVID, all the COVID bans and so on were uplifted, we also started offering absorption, which is permanent employment for our graduate learners at our own company and at our sister companies as well. So we try and because one of the main things that we focus on is employability. It's very important to us not just to give certification to the learner, that's obviously very important, but certification is there to lead towards employability and in fact employment.
Yes.
So that is something we've decided to not to pay lip service to, and within our own company we end up, because we run call centers, we hire people, and in 2022 we went one step further and we opened up a small business division where a handful of learners, I would say maybe about 10% of our learners who have an entrepreneurial mindset, and either have started their own businesses or intend starting their own businesses. We facilitate that. We help them to get funding. We help them with business plans, business training and mentorship and so on, so that they can grow. And more importantly, they can provide employment for others. So that's our latest sort of offering now in terms of employment creation. Yeah.
Okay, that's brilliant. South Africa has such the high unemployment rate amongst the youth is something that's so crucial, that it needs so much work. And a large contributing factor to this is that the youth are not they do not have enough skills, or the skills available that a majority of the companies are looking for. And with this in mind, in which way would you say that learnerships will contribute to decreasing the high unemployment rate?
So I've been involved in learnership since 2003, though EduPower has only been around from 2016.
Okay.
I was in the services CETA as I was an employee and a management employee within that organization. So for me, right from the outset, when the Skills Development Act was created and learnership came into being, I realized it was a very powerful instrument in addressing a skills deficit within our economy. Now, we obviously had a long history of higher academic institutions that offer degrees, diploma, and those type of things, universities of technology and so on. But on the vocational and the artisanal side, the CETAs and more recently QCTO fills that huge gap.
Yes.
Now, learnerships are very, very important because they offer a couple of things. Firstly, theory, which is 30%, 70%, which is work experience. Unlike universities, it's almost all theory, and then when you come out, companies don't want to hire you because you haven't had work experience, even though you're a bright young individual with a degree, you know. So the other thing with learnership, it's an earn while you learn opportunity. So for the 12 months, for instance, of the learnership, the sponsor will give you a stipend, even if it's at minimum wage, around 4K or above. you're getting something to,
Yes.
you're getting a formal qualification with the National Qualifications Framework, which is extremely important. And, I think those things make learnerships a very powerful instrument. I know in my personal experience, a lot of graduates that have come out of university, bright young people, can't get jobs. So they come to me to say, look, can I join a learnership just to get my 1 year's work experience to put on
That's true.
my CV so I can get into an opportunity and entry into the workplace. So learnerships also form a very powerful instrument for those graduates to enter into the workforce. I think it's very, 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 very powerful in that sense. And of course, as learnerships became, involved with broad-based Black economic empowerment, and particularly with the skills instrument within that scorecard, absorption is now one of the key, absorption being employment creation. So that has now also made a lot of employers and training providers create work opportunities for learnership graduates, so that we don't end up with people that are back in the employment queue after 12 months.
Yes.
On the unemployment queue, sorry, after 12 months. So that's been a very, very important development in 2020 from the PE side of thing, and it's linked to learnership.
I think that's amazing. So I was just reading an article the other day about the high graduate unemployment rate. I mean, people that graduate from university, they are still looking for jobs. I mean, you've spent 3 years attaining this degree and you're unemployed, whereas someone who goes through a learnership, and they've got critical skills that people and employers are looking for, and they can get a job. So it definitely doesn't have to say that you need to go to university to be guaranteed employment. And I think that's something that's amazing about learnerships and the opportunities they provide to people that are looking for jobs.
Absolutely. In fact, I think, in my opinion, basic education from grade 10 onwards should offer vocational streams and artisanal streams already from that level, so that by the time you finish grade 12, a large component of the learners can already be employable at that point, having had vocational certificates.
That's true.
And it's something the Department of Basic Education needs to take seriously, because too many people are going through the academic stream and ending up with grade 12. Some of them go on to universities, which are very important. Some of them go on to universities of technology. These are the academic streams, right? But there's a large percentage that's left without anything.
Yes.
And that's where vocational streams come in to fill that gap.
Yeah, because I know the higher education department is currently like so focused on encouraging school leavers to pursue vocational skills and training courses like artisan development. But I think it is important that it starts at a younger age, so not just when they decide to go to university. I mean after high school, it should start at primary and secondary school already in the basic education space for them to promote skills.
That is extremely important. I think for me, grade 10, as kids choose their courses in high school, vocational stream is extremely important. That most high schools should start to offer that as an alternative for young people, because what is important with vocational is that it's a much shorter route to employment than an academic stream.
Yes. And I think a lot of high school learners, they shy away because they feel like, oh no, going to university is so popular that they don't consider going to a TVET college or applying for a learnership as the number one option. I don't know, there's this misconception about TVET colleges and learnerships that just needs to break. We need to get rid of it.
The other big thing for me with basic
it's a bad stigma.
Is entrepreneurship. For me, the school system, the public school system, that is, I know some of the private schools do, but the public school system does not pay enough attention guiding those learners that have an entrepreneurial mindset along that stream. So for me, even at primary school level, we should be stimulating young people to be thinking about entrepreneurship. Because the country needs a lot more entrepreneurs. We've got the talent. We've got the talent in this country, and I'm discovering it now as part of our own small business development division within EduPower. We've got the talent in this country. We just need to give these young people the opportunities and the skills at a very early age, you say to them
Mm-hmm.
that's one of the potential streams that you
Yes.
could belong to, and you add that with vocational things. Somebody could be a baker, a cook,
Yes.
electrician, a plumber. Those are all businesses that you could run.
Yeah.
And you know, so those two skills put together allows you to open up and employ other people,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Yes. And it's so amazing because I mean, our societies are so unequal as it is that
Yes,
a lot of children and young people they don't even have the fees to go to university or have access to a quality education, whereas they'll maybe excel in a field like in an artisan driven field, or
yes,
in engineering or in machinery, working in skills development. Um,
yes.
but they're not empowered. They're not given enough opportunities to pursue things like that where they might excel. You know, and I think that's why learnerships are so important and crucial. Learnership internships are so important and crucial for empowering our youth as well, and getting our unemployment rate down.
Yeah, and learnerships in the call center is an area obviously we specialize in. You know, call centers are a great entry level, even if you haven't finished grade 12, because a lot of our youngsters that have not finished grade 12 for whatever reason, probably up
Mm-hmm.
to grade 11 or grade 10, these people are marginalized.
Yes.
They can't seem to get a foothold in society in terms
Mm-hmm.
of their financial aspirations, getting a
Yes.
job and that kind of thing. So call centers can take these people, you know, because you can put somebody with a grade 11 or grade 10 even for that matter onto an NTF level 2 learnership,
Yeah.
which is another thing. Now you can't enter university or University of Technology without
Mm-hmm.
a grade 12, but you can enter a learnership. So that's something else. Is it's very inclusive. Learnerships are very inclusive. They people that for some other reason didn't get to grade 12 suddenly get another opportunity to get formal skills and
Mm-hmm.
work experience. And
Yes.
that's another power of learnership, you
Mm-hmm.
know, because otherwise you're dealing with a whole lot of kids, because there are statistics that tell us that at least 50% of young kids that start out in grade 1 or grade R don't make it to grade 12 with the grade 12 qualification. So
Mm-hmm.
what happens to this huge number of young people?
Yeah, there's so many kids that's like it's lost in the system. They're not even accounted for when it comes to um, figuring out what youth unemployment rate is. You know, and those figures. So earlier on, you were speaking. Before I forget, earlier on you were speaking about learnerships, and a lot of our viewers are interested in learnerships. So this is a topic that is quite a big topic. So I know a lot of our viewers would like to know more about it. But there is a lot of misconception out there and confusion with regards to learnerships. And do I get paid? Will I have a qualification? These are all questions that our viewers will regularly ask, and the stories that we write about. But seeing that you've got so much knowledge about learnerships and CETAs, can you speak specifically about how they work? Maybe touch on what are there any specific requirements a candidate might need to apply for a learnership? Do people get paid? What does the stipends look like? We can touch on that a bit.
Yeah, sure. So learnerships typically are a 12-month qualification, although they could be longer than
Mm-hmm.
12 months. It could be 24 months or 36 months as well. The learners get a stipend, and the stipend is governed by legislation.
Okay.
It's included as part of the minimum wage legislation. There is a section under the minimum wage legislation that talks specifically about remuneration of learners on a learnership, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when a learner, a young person typically joins a learnership, let's say for 12 months a learnership is, they will get a stipend every month for 12 months. And with us, our experience is the stipend is around minimum wage, which translates roughly to about 4K per month for a learner, right? And sometimes more. Some of the sponsors, in our experience, have gone as high as 8K per month, but that's a sponsor's choice,
Mm-hmm.
right? And especially for learners that have come out of university, for instance, you've got a base qualification and you're going on to a higher level learnership, so they typically want to pay you a higher stipend. So a learnership is, as I've said to you earlier, is a theoretical qualification. It's a formal qualification that's appearing on the National Qualification Framework, and recognized by the South African Qualifications Authority. So that's very, very important to know. When you complete a learnership, you've got an accredited qualification. Very, very important, right?
Yes.
And 30% of learnership over 12 months is theory, which is classroom face-to-face stuff with the facilitator standing in front of you, or it could be online. Often these days, after COVID, online has become a big offering where a lot of learners can be trained online. But very important is the workplace component. It's to integrate what you're learning in theory in the workplace. So that's the 70% component of learnerships, where you get to practice what you learn theoretically in a workplace environment.
Okay.
So that's one of the things that's missing from, for instance, university qualifications. And a lot of young graduates that come out of university can't get that first job because they don't have that first 6 months or 12 months experience, whatever it is, to show work experience.
A lot of
that's
jobs.
very sad.
Yes. A lot of job applications are like looking for a graduate with a year experience, like I've just graduated. So that's
Exactly. Exactly. So learnerships offer you that 70% of that 12-month period where in the workplace, very, very importantly. And because, as I mentioned earlier, because of its link to BE, the sponsors are asking, or they themselves are offering learners permanent work after the learnership. Right? Because they incentivize via the BE scorecard to do so. And we do that. As EduPower, we offer our learners employment within our own group of companies, or like I say, create their own businesses for those learners that are wanting to go down that street.
Amazing.
So I think learners get a chance to, as I say, get maybe 4,000. It covers their transport. It covers some subsistence. They can buy themselves some meals and whatever it is. Most of the learners come from previously disadvantaged backgrounds, very importantly to note. So they need this stipend to be able to get to a training place or place of where they're going to be getting their work experience. So the stipend forms a very important part of a learnership, right? And that's why it's given to them for that purpose.
Okay.
Learners must learn to take learnership more seriously. Some of them don't fully understand the gravity and the importance of what a learnership is once they get the opportunity. They just see the stipend and nothing else. And we can understand that coming from a disadvantaged background, suddenly you're a kid of 19 or 20, and you've got 4,000 rand per month in your pocket, and it's like an excitement for you. But what has to go along with the learnership, very importantly, is mentorship. And one of the aspects of mentorship, for instance, is financial planning, budgeting, career development. So you got to be able to develop the person holistically. It's not just about giving somebody a skill, because even though the school system does provide life sciences and all of that, this has got to continue for the young adult. At 18, 19 years, you're considered an adult in terms of our law, but the level of maturity is often not there. I mean, I myself, at 18, 19 years old, if I look back, 30 some odd years ago, I didn't have the level of maturity looking back, so I know that 19-year-olds need help. They need mentorship, they need guidance. And very important part of the learnership has to be that. The other part of that's offered in tandem with the learnerships and what we do is work readiness training. So remember, a youngster has never been in a formal workplace, and it can be quite daunting in the first few months while you're settling in. You're understanding, because remember, when you join a learnership, you sign a 12-month limited duration employment contract, part of a learnership, which means you are subject to the terms and conditions of the Labor Relations Act, and all of the and the company's labor policies where you're serving your work, your experience, right? So it's important that you understand workplace etiquette, you understand working in teams, you understand all of those things. You understand how to even, for instance, do your CV properly, how to go for interviews. Very, very important, because you can give somebody all the skills that they can make a mess of the interview, or their CVs don't truly reflect who they are. So all of this has to go in tandem alongside the learnership. So it's a holistic experience over the 12 months. You got the formal qualification, and then you got the workplace experience, and then you got the ongoing mentorship, which creates a more complete young person. So that you're readying them for not just finding a job, but you're readying them for a career and a life ahead.
Yes, because there's a lot of young people that just fish out of high school. They have no clue about SARS-related issues, about labor law, about taxes. There's people that will like see, oh my God, I have to actually pay taxes. So these are all important elements that also need more people need more to know more about? And I'm pretty sure it's covered during learnerships as well.
Yeah, so we create a workplace readiness program for all our learners. It's not part of the accredited component of the learnership. We run it separately alongside our learnership so that all our learners have to go through it. And many of our learners, for instance, come to us having never worked on a computer because they're coming from disadvantaged
Yeah,
backgrounds.
computer
They've
literacy
been to high
skills as
schools where
well.
a computer was not. And they don't,
Yeah.
suddenly now you're in a learnership and you've got to work on Microsoft Excel or Microsoft Word or Outlook. How do I do this?
Yeah.
You know, and many of them become very daunted by this and they become very discouraged. So what we do is upfront, we put them through skills training on how to just use basic end user computing.
Yes.
You know, so you can at least feel comfortable on computer before you start learning how to do your portfolios of evidence on a computer, you know. So those are very basic skills that we must not take for granted. Many of us take it for granted. Like I can just switch my computer on and back on, like without giving a second thought. For many youngsters, it's an opportunity they've never had.
Yes.
You know,
and
so
also with the importance of soft skills, like I know a lot of youngsters, a lot of people would say it's so important to have hard skills, but like soft skills is what's gonna get you a job really. Knowing how to communicate, knowing how to speak a certain way, to be confident, all of those aspects matter as well. You know, so I'm sure that those are issues that also need to be probably to be covered.
absolutely,
Yes.
absolutely.
So if I am someone that's just graduated high school or I'm looking forward to do a learnership, and I see EduPower, how do I go about applying, and how does that process look? Is it like a difficult process, or can I just go on the website and apply?
Okay.
How do I apply?
So another big plus point of learnerships differs from, for instance, higher education. Higher education has very specific um, times when they register you, either in the beginning of the semester, maybe January, February, or June, July for that semester, right? If you miss those windows, you've got to wait for the next one.
Yes, yes.
Learnerships, you can enroll all year round.
All year round,
Sponsors,
okay.
sponsors, for instance, that attach sponsor learnership, you could get it from January to December. It could start at any time. So, which means that young people must be on the lookout all the time for learnership opportunities.
Yeah.
Now, what normally happens with EduPower is when we get a corporate sponsor that comes to us and says, run a learnership in June, as an example, we then put out an advert to say, look, we have this opportunity. This is what our sponsor is looking for. Please send us your CV, and then we make contact with you based on your CV. And like I say, depending on the qualification, you don't have to have grade 12. In some instances, you can also have grade 11, and we'll still look at you and still involve you in a learnership, because that's quite important for us.
Okay.
If for instance you don't see an ad with EduPower, we've got a website where you can go in, and there's a learner portal on the website where you can go in and upload your CV, and we keep it on a database, and virtually every month of the year we start learnerships. Okay. More than one, right? So what happens is we just keep going into the portal, pulling off these CVs, and we calling the learners and saying, look, you know, you want this opportunity. This is it. And one of the things I mentioned earlier is that we train 85% of our learners are people with disabilities. So it's a because we use call centers as our workplace, it's a great leveler for creating employment for people with disabilities. So that's something we're also very proud of as well in terms of our disability rate. But a lot of those learners have become employed with us or our sister companies as well.
It's so great to be so inclusive with assisting people from all backgrounds. Yeah, because there's many environments that people can work in that, like a disabled person can work in that, you know.
Yes.
Yeah. So you was just speaking about the leadership opportunities that are always, well, every month you said that there's a couple of them available on the website. Are there any opportunities available right now that someone can go up and just apply or would be interested in?
Right now, learners can go to the EduPower website and they can put the information in. Right now, we are recruiting for a particular project. Like I say, year round. We start projects every month of the year.
Okay, that's
so
brilliant.
Sponsors come by almost every month and say, look, can you start a learnership? You know, so every month of the year, particularly if you're a person of disability with a disability, there's a massive opportunity to join a learnership with us.
Okay, that's good to know.
And a young person.
That's great to know. So thank you so much for taking the time out to speak to us. I'm sure our viewers learned a lot about learnerships, and it's just good to know what EduPower. It's good to know, to find out what these opportunities offer, what they're about, and it's not just where you come and earn a stipend. You are signed on for a period of time, 12 months or more. You gain a skill, and you're able to make something about with your life into the employment market. It's amazing. Thank you so much for taking the time out to speak to us. I really appreciate it, and I'm sure our viewers will appreciate it as well.
Thank you so much for the
Thank you
opportunity.
so
I
much.
also appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you found out what you needed to know about learnerships and advancing yourself and your career. You can also check out our website www.careersportal.co.za if you want to find out more about the latest learnerships, as well as any information about studying and your future career. Comment down below what type of learnerships you are interested in, and we might incorporate it in an article or video. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.